Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about a current event. They are tariffs in general, and specifically Trump's justification of tariffs and how powerful media figures um, interpret these things. And before we get started, it is always important to think for yourself and not just take what others are saying as true. Because as you'll see, it doesn't matter how popular somebody is, such as the President of the United States or such as Joe Rogan, who runs the most popular podcast in the world, popularity does not equal truth. So let's jump right into it and see what we got going today.
Trump is talking about getting rid of income tax and replacing it with tariffs.
Yeah, is it that easy? We just get rid of income tax and replace it with tariffs. Well, I like the first part, but let's continue and we'll see why this could never happen.
We lose $200 billion a year with Canada.
Okay, what does this mean that we lose $200 billion a year on Canada? Well, it doesn't mean that we lose it. It means that Americans in general pay $200 billion for goods to Canada. Trump views this as losing it, like the money is leaving America and there's nothing for it. It's just being sucked out. What America is gaining with this $200 billion is $200 billion worth of goods, of things that Americans desire and they want. And they pay Canadian companies who are producing the goods that Americans want. This is a win-win, right? If I'm selling a watch for $400 and you're looking for a watch and you think the watch is worth $400, I get the $400, you get the watch. There is no losing. It is win-win. Trump doesn't quite understand this principle. We'll continue on it later.
I asked him about that on the podcast.
What?
I thought he was joking around.
That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber.
He was
We allow them to make cars and we allow them to have a lumber industry. No, we collectively, the Americans, no, this says nobody's allowing anybody to do anything. Of course, you can force people using guns to not produce things. But if absence of force, nobody's allowing anything, right? It's just being free, it's called. Yes, Canada's free, and Canada, when I say Canada, I mean individual Canadians are free to produce what they want without the permission of anybody else, as it should be. Let's continue.
saying that it would be better for the economy. We'd have way more money if instead of you paying tax, these companies should be paying tax.
Okay, instead of you paying tax, these companies should be paying tax. Well, who are these companies? Of course, companies don't exist independent of people. Companies are people, essentially. And how does a tariff work? Specifically, how does it work? Specifically, if Trump puts a 25% tariff on Canada, who is paying it? Is it Canada? No, not at all, not even close. So let's say that there's a 25% tariff on Canadian lumber. Canada has a lot of lumber, right? And America builds a lot of things. America is, a place that is always developing, just like any civilized country should be. So there are American construction workers, construction firms that want lumber. They can't get it as efficiently or as cheaply or whatever, and they choose to buy Canadian lumber. 25% tariff. So it is the importer, the American company that is importing the lumber that has to pay 25% tariff to the U.S. government. So it's an American company paying 25% more than the market price to America. And of course, the company can't just eat this cost. It's not as if companies can just have all their goods increase 25% in price and nothing else will be affected? No, of course not. So what happens is the price of lumber goes up in America now. It goes up 25% at least. I mean, it's not like it has to go up exactly 25%. Could go up more, could go up a little bit less. It depends on the profit margin of the importer. But this tariff that Trump thinks that Canadians pay is actually being passed on to the American consumer, making everything more expensive. So that's how tariffs work. Let's see what he has to say about India here.
India is a very hard place to do business in because of the tariffs.
Like, why are they making such a killing off the American people?
I don't know about the Indian tariffs specifically. India is a tough place to do business in, but it is growing. Never mind that for now.
They have the highest tariffs just about in the world.
Okay, let's say that India has the highest tariffs in the world. Well, guess what they also have some of the highest of in the world? Poverty. To put it in perspective, China and India are about the same size in terms of people. India is slightly larger than China now. America is about 1.1 billion people less than both India and China, not combined, but individually. America has the largest economy in the world, the largest amount of wealth, GDP. China has second largest behind America, but for the sake of argument, let's just say that it's the same, and it's not. China has a good 10-15% less than American GDP. I could be wrong about that. But like I said, let's say it's about the same. Well, it's about the same amount of wealth, but it's not about the same amount of people. It's about the same amount of wealth, but China needs to split this wealth with 1.1 billion more people. Now, India and China have about the same population, but India only has a quarter of the wealth that China has. China's already poor compared to America, and India is extremely impoverished compared to China. Trump is saying, oh, well, India, they have tariffs. They do it. Why don't we? Well, if you want to be like India, you should copy India. If you want to be like America and you want to be the most successful nation on earth, then you should probably continue doing the things that made you successful, which is the lack of tariffs and open markets and freedom, and it'll lead to prosperity. All right, let's go on.
Countries charge tariffs, and I think we've charged tariffs in the past.
Good job, Joe. Other countries do charge tariffs, and we have done it in the past. Correct.
Prime Minister persuade you not to put tariffs on the UK?
He tried. He was working hard, I'll tell you that.
It's an interesting thing. It's like you make a trade agreement.
We may have short-term, some little pain.
Yeah, I don't know. Trump acts like he's being a tough guy here, and he's winning, winning, and short-term pain for long-term gain is what he's saying. Yeah, it costs more now, but in the long run, it's better because there's less money in the hands of private equity and more money in the hands of government. Is that the argument? That's a false argument if it is the case. Let's continue.
People understand that, but long term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world, and we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion.
No. Okay, America has not been ripped off by every country on earth. America has bought goods from every country on earth. Why? Because America has the most money out of any country on earth. So we trade with everyone, and this has been part of the American success story. So to think that because Americans buy foreign goods is the reason America is $36 trillion in debt is laughable. The reason America is $36 trillion in debt is due to government spending. And it's not even government spending on money that they have, of course. They have to inflate to create more money to spend. And then in order to pay back their debts, they have to inflate more to get more money to pay back the debts. And it's a never-ending cycle, a race to the bottom. Okay, why doesn't the American system collapse then if they are just inflating to add more money to to pay back its debts caused by borrowing money and inflation? Well, because every other country on earth also does the same thing. If there was a country that decided to have sound money, immediately their money would be the most valuable in the world. Their citizens would benefit from it. Of course, this would require cutting government spending, which everybody views as an impossibility. But it is very possible, of course. And if we do it, if any country does it, it will be much better. And then hopefully all the other countries will follow suit. Anyway, the reason America is $36 trillion in debt is because the government spends too much money. And when I say too much money, I think any money the government spends is too much money. There should be a separation of the state and the economy in the same way there's a separation of church and state. But that's for another video.
His position has always been that one side of the trade agreement was unbalanced, and America does a stupid job at negotiating its trade agreements. Trump.
Okay, does a stupid job in negotiating its trade agreements. Well, I can get behind that, but for different reasons. The reason why the trade agreements are bad is because there are tariffs at all. The best thing was NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, that basically treated Canada, America, and Mexico as one open economy, the same way the European Union does. So there's not taxes and tariffs going from Mexico to America to Canada and so forth. And of course, Trump viewed this as the worst thing, and it's just robbing Americans because money is going to Mexico and they're sending back cars, and money is going to Canada and they're sending back lumber. We're being robbed. He doesn't understand business, which is ironic because he is a businessman. We're not going to go into his personal business successes and failures in this, but I will go into his understanding. You can look at his book, The Art of the Deal. In it, he says at one time, I'm always looking for a win-win deal, right? Always looking for a win-win negotiation. He differentiates himself in thinking that like he is looking for a win-win and others are not, or rather that any mutually agreed upon business transaction or contract is not a win-win. It is by definition a win-win. If I'm selling something and you want the thing I'm selling, I sell it to you, I get the money like I want, you get the item, we're both happy. It's a win-win. You don't have to look for it. All you have to do is sell anything. If you sell anything that is not a forgery or is not fraud in some way, if you sell anything that is an honest thing, a service or an item or anything you like, and people pay for it with non-counterfeited money, it is a win-win. It is that simple. He doesn't understand this point. He doesn't understand how economies are successful. To further illustrate the point on tariffs and how they're bad, let's say that, okay, so Trump says that it's good to put tariffs on Canada because we want to help the American workers. Well, let's say I'll take Texas. All right, Texas, the second largest economy in America, state by state. Well, I'm in Texas, let's say. I'm in Sweden, but I'm in Texas, and I say that, well, actually, I want to help the Texan economy, right? I want to help Texas businesses and Texas workers. So I'm going to put a tariff on all goods coming from outside of Texas. Trump might say, oh, well, you can't do that. That's going to harm the rest of America. It's like, well, but I want to help Texans. What's wrong with that? The same way you want to help Americans, I want to help Texans. Okay, but then let's say that I'm the mayor of Houston. And I say, actually, you know what? I really want to help Houston businesses and Houston workers. So I'm going to put a tariff on all goods that come from outside of Houston. And the governor of Texas is like, you can't do that. It's going to harm the rest of Texas. It's like, well, if it why? It's like, well, you have to have free trade, and if you have all these tariffs, it's just going to make things harder and more expensive, and it'll hurt everybody. Of course, the arguments against city tariffs are equally as valid as the argument against state tariffs, which are equally as valid as the argument against country tariffs. It's funny if you keep breaking it down that the people that are in favor of the countrywide tariff will be vehemently against the citywide tariff and all the ones in between for the same reasons why tariffs are bad on any level. So that concludes the video today. I hope you enjoyed me actually thinking. If you think I did a bad job, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.